All right, let's take it away. Let's talk about Paul Krugman. Paul Krugman is an economist writing in the New York Times and drawing some parallels between the subprime mortgage crisis and the most recent Bitcoin boom. Now, I think the headline is a bit of an oversell on this, and I think Paul Krugman will be the first to recognize that. I saw him on Twitter yesterday, sort of, saying that this isn't as big a chunk of the economy in a way that the subprime mortgage crisis was able to inflict pain during the 2008 financial crisis. So while Bitcoin is still a sliver of the economy, he's seeing some parallels that make him have some pause. Now, I think it boils down to these last couple graphs in his piece, which is thoughtful and interesting piece, but I think it's sort of about the downsides of democratized access to assets such as Bitcoin, Ethereum, and other cryptocurrencies. So a lot of interesting stuff in here. I think I'm not here to run the bash Paul Krugman campaign. I think it's a measured piece. I think it might be a little off base on certain points, but hey, it's a conversation starter. So let's do this thing. Let's start a conversation. Will, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, just to kind of lay the table, I think this piece is interesting. If you take a step back and say, hey, look, crypto is now at the part where central bankers and others are looking at it and saying, we need to have a conversation about if crypto could influence the way that the economy works right now. And that's a pretty momentous occasion. That's not something a lot of people would have thought would have happened a decade ago. So that's like a good kind of checkbox towards hyper-Bitcoinization, or at least cryptocurrency becoming something in everyday life for most people. Moving on to like his argument here and the topic in general, it's really interesting how this article itself kind of lays out the thesis for monetary policy in the United States, right? So if you think of monetary policy in general, it's like this box, and everyone's trying to make sure that their economy works out and there's no leakages in the system, and you're trying to like almost engineer your economy. That's a lot of what central banks do when they pump up interest rates, or they try to drop asset prices, or increase the velocity of money within an economy. And crypto is kind of a leakage in that boat, right? You see stable coins, there's hundreds of billions of dollars of stable coins now. Why are they there? What are they doing? Well, even more important for a lot of economists is saying, this is a leakage in the system that we have not confronted before, and we need to start having a conversation about what stablecoins will do. And then there's the conversation, which is even more important, about Bitcoin, and Bitcoin being this new reserve asset. That's obviously a conversation a lot of people are having on Bitcoin Twitter, and it seems like it could be a conversation going forward as we see a lot of states be interested in getting off a dollar standard and move to something else, whether it be a currency for themselves or a currency for an internet age. I'm actually going to throw this up to George if I can, because I'm really curious to get your thoughts.
Yeah. Is there a super brave Austrian economist out there that can go toe-to-toe with Paul Krugman? Because I'm certainly not one of those people. I admit that he is an economist, a trained economist, and noble lord at that. So I'm not going to go toe-to-toe with him. But I think this piece in particular, I'm going to cherry pick stuff because that's what I'm allowed to do now since he's not on the other side to argue with me. I think it's really odd that he says that people in El Salvador are having to pay high transaction fees. I'm pretty sure that's empirically false. You guys can correct me if that is not, but I'm pretty sure they're using a Lightning network, and if you use Lightning, it's really cheap right now, so I don't know where that really is coming from. He also says something that really kind of blew my mind. Well, okay, that's maybe an over-exaggeration. He's talking about the uncomfortable parallels of the subprime crisis, which is like kind of what made Bitcoin come to be. Maybe not even kind of. It's like actually what made Bitcoin to be. So it's sort of weird that he says, I see the uncomfortable parallels. It's like, well, yeah, duh, that's what this came from. What are you talking about? Like, of course they're parallels, right? And people are going to keep trying to rebuild the same old system, even on top of Bitcoin. So again, that's my like maxi take on it, where, Bitcoin's not the problem here. Maybe crypto's the problem. Jen, did your hand go up? Did I see that? Or
It did. Yeah. I am also happy that he's not here for me to go toe to toe with. I took issue with this small piece. I'm going to cherry pick as well, George, from the article where he drew on research that said a report found that 44% of crypto investors are non-white and 55% don't have a college degree. He says this matches up with anecdotal evidence that crypto investing has become remarkably popular among minority groups and the working class. And so he does speak to this later in the article. He says that like he acknowledges that these people are often forgotten by the traditional financial system. But I think if we zoom out, right, and we don't think that the US represents the entire world, and we think about countries where, you know, people aren't able to get an education. There are like women who are oppressed, who aren't able to go to college. And there are people who, you know, have to drop out of high school to support their families. Crypto, I think, serves these people much better than the traditional financial system. And I don't think that this was really unpacked in the article. And while saying that, I really wish that he would have, you know, maybe brought some quotes in from the rich elite who have supported crypto and Bitcoin in the past. And those quotes didn't make it into this opinion piece. So that's what I was a little saddened about. But I'll pass it back up to you, Zach.
Yeah, definitely calls for more protections. The protector meme came to mind there, where, you know, we need these elites to protect the poor people from access to financial freedom, which was a bit striking to see in this piece. That was definitely sort of the closing sentiment. So that's my closing sentiment. We're going to change gears. We're going to give it to George. What's up, George?
And before intro, Jen, the people now who are unbanked and underbanked are unbanked and underbanked from the current system. So we need something new.